It's the Robert Saviola Show, sponsored by Buffalo Hypnosis. And now, from the beautiful studios of WBEN, here's Robert.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Robert Saviola Show. My name is Eric Polanski. I'm filling in for Robert, who is still away on assignment, we'll say. As far as the show goes today, we have a very, very special guest, somebody who I admire his work quite a bit. Leading into premising the show today, basically, there's so much controversy surrounding President Obama, from his birth certificate and the work by Joe Arpaio and Orly Tates, James Corsi, and others, to his college transcripts and all the people who never saw him there, to the Fast and Furious scandal, the campaign promises of shutting down Guantanamo, bringing the troops home from overseas. And basically, when it comes to the president, we haven't had anything concrete. There's pretty much, whether it's out of his mouth or his party's mouth, it's all lies. So what is the truth concerning the president? In Western New York, many consider him a Muslim who's pretending to be a Christian. I have an issue with that, and the issue is that Muslim means one who submits, and in this case, submits to Allah. So when it comes to homosexuality legislation and other things, it's not submission to Allah, nor is ravaging Muslim countries with our sons and daughters really in Allah's plan. Okay, so I don't believe in Allah, but, I have, we all have our own beliefs. But anyways, who is Barack Obama, and where does his allegiance truly lie? With us today, we have Mr. Wayne Madsen, a Washington, D.C.-based investigative journalist, author, and syndicated columnist. He has written for numerous magazines, and his columns appear in papers from Sea to Shining Sea. He appears as a frequent political and national security commentator on Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, CNN, BBC, and pretty much all the rest of them. He has 20 years' experience with national security issues. He's a former U.S. naval officer, a national security agent, a member of the Society of Professional Journalists, and the National Press Club. Wayne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, now I skipped a lot on your resume here, but can you give us a little detail or some highlights about your career that I might have missed?
Well, what I'm trying to do through my website, WayneMadsenReport.com, is try to bring back the spirit of muckraking journalism that we saw with people like Drew Pearson and the late Jack Anderson, who replaced him. They had a great column called The Washington Merry-Go-Round. Was once syndicated in 1,000 American newspapers when we had 1,000 American newspapers. And but that spirit of getting to the backstory and not being a stenographer for the White House or any other federal agency has largely been lost in Washington. And what I've tried to do, and even facing lawsuit threats, as Anderson and Pearson faced many times, is to try to bring that spirit of journalism back.
So, yeah, my next question was, how did you make the jump from national security to journalism?
Well, I actually intended to become a journalist in the early 70s, but as I was getting ready to go to college, the Vietnam War was still going on, and Nixon got rid of the college deferment, so I wound up in the Navy ROTC, which it delayed my planned career for a number of years. But after a service in the Navy and National Security Agency, I wound up doing this full time.
Well, and we're really glad that you have. So, listen, you have a book. We have a minute left. When we come back, I'd like to talk about your book a little bit. The Manufacturing of a President, the CIA's Insertion of Barack H. Obama Jr. into the White House. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we go to break?
Yes, it's basically the reason we don't know much about Obama is not because of birth certificates. It's because at a very early age he was recruited for the CIA. His whole family was associated with the CIA, and this is why we have all these holes in not only his career but his family's career as well. This was intentional.
Okay, Wayne, we'll be right back. Thank you, everybody. You're listening to WBEN Radio 930 AM and 107.7 FM on the Robert Saviola Show. Hello, and welcome back to the Robert Saviola Show. Once again, my name is Eric Polanski, and I'm with special guest Wayne Madsen from Washington, D.C. Wayne Madsen is the author of the book, The Manufacturing of a President, the CIA's Insertion of Barack H. Obama Jr. into the White House. Very interesting words that you choose here, Wayne, manufacturing and insertion. So, but just to be fair now, you also wrote a book called Jaded Tasks, which goes into the history of the Bush regime. So, you're not playing either political card here. You're right in the middle. You just want the truth, you want answers, and you're a man to search them out. So can you tell us about the book, please?
Yes, well, it's a product of a lot of research. I delved through many files, especially CIA files at the National Archives. Went to Jakarta, Indonesia last August, and sat in one of the chairs where Obama, as a boy, sat in at the St. Franciscus school. And one thing that was very clear is he and his whole family were associated with the CIA. The birth certificate issue is a sideline issue. The real issue with President Obama is the fact that he did carry an Indonesian passport. He was an Indonesian citizen. It was a requirement to go to school there to be an Indonesian citizen. Indonesia does not recognize dual nationality. And it's questionable as when he became 18 whether he's rejected the Indonesian citizenship status and became a full U.S. citizen. That's always been the issue. Unfortunately, the people who have been looking at the birth certificate have been sort of on a wild goose chase, on a tangent. The answers were never in Honolulu. They were in Jakarta, Indonesia, and in other locations, but especially in Jakarta. And this is what is the essence of the book, the real story of not only Obama, but his maternal grandparents and his mother, who was not this kind woman who was helping villagers in Indonesia, but was marking Indonesians for assassination 2 years after the bloody coup that overthrew President Sukarno with the assistance of the CIA.
Amazing. So, as far as a birth certificate goes, you're saying that that's the wrong path because the real issue is he did not get his American citizenship when he became of age in Indonesia.
That's right. He would have had to have done something proactively to have his American citizenship not restored, but to claim, look, I'm only an American citizen, but he may have been traveling on an Indonesian passport after the age of 18, which would make him a dual citizen, even though Indonesia doesn't recognize it. The U.S. has no prohibition really against it. But that brings into question the whole constitutional issue of natural-born status. He may have given that up at the age of 18. And certainly from what I saw and the people I spoke to, it seems that way.
And you're saying that this goes back quite a ways. It's not just this man has decided to get involved with some of these aspects at an early age. He was born into it.
Born into it as parents. If we assume that Barack Sr. Was his father from Kenya, and there is some question about that as well. Barack Sr. was brought over on an Airlift Africa project that was really funded by the CIA to train young African students to become the leaders later on. The Soviet Union was doing the same exact thing. We were trying to compete with them. And so Barack Sr. was brought to Hawaii, met at the airport by Stanley Armour Dunham, Obama's grandfather. So this idea that his mom and his father met for the first time in Russian language class in Hawaii is not true. One of many cases where the official record does not match up with the facts on the ground.
That's quite interesting. Well, for people who may not know, what is wrong with being a CIA asset or agent?
Well, actually, we had a former Bush 41, former President Bush 41, was director of the CIA. He may have had an earlier association with them as well. So, if people are happy with that, it's okay. I just think people need to know the full history of the person who's the most powerful person, not only in the United States, but in fact in the world. And if people are fine with that kind of national security background, I have no problem with it. It's just that I think people need to know who they're voting for, and people never really knew who Barack H. Obama Jr. was, and we really were never told about his family, his, as I say, grandparents, mother, and his father. The official record is very compelling, but it's not the entire truth.
Well, I agree with you. I don't have an issue with a president being from the CIA, but I do have an issue with that not being made public, and it begs you to question why not. And the only answer that I can find is a covert operation in the process, which to me appears to be scary because as far as we are to believe, the CIA is doing America's bidding overseas. I don't believe that they're even allowed to do any of their work within the country. Is that true or not, Wayne?
Well, absolutely. He's been very good for the whole CIA agenda, which calls into question the fact that he's covered up a lot of details. After he graduated from Columbia University, he went to work for Business International Corporation, which was a known CIA front in Manhattan. He was there for a year before he went to South Chicago, where he was obviously spying on many radical groups there, passing that information on. So we have a lot of evidence that he, over his career, was doing the work and the bidding for the U.S. intelligence infrastructure. And in his own book, he merely says he went to work for a company in Manhattan after he graduated from Columbia. Well, it turns out it's not a company; it was the company, and he obviously was trying to hide that fact. So he's shown some deception, quite a bit of it, with his own history.
What do you think the agenda would be? I mean, have you looked into how or why they are doing this?
Oh, well, if you look at the people he surrounded himself with, John Brennan, the former CIA deputy for the director for rendition and kidnapping, the whole drone program, everything he's done has been totally in lockstep with the U.S. intelligence infrastructure and their goals around the world. Look, the CIA doesn't care about gay marriage. They don't care about these social issues. They have their own agenda, and Obama has been very faithful to that agenda. And I feel that this is where we see the product of his upbringing and his training and his work in the field and his work in various other locations for the agency. This guy, when you consider how long some candidates took to become president. They had to be senators for a number of years, governors in the House of Representatives, and he had this meteoric rise in politics. There's a reason for it because he only got to where he was, at least when he became a senator, U.S. senator, because of sex scandals that took down his opposition, one after another, Republicans and Democrats. And we know how the CIA operates in that realm. They've had many years of doing that, not only overseas but against U.S. law domestically. Masters of
deception. Hey,
Absolutely.
Wayne, we're under a minute left here. Can you tell us how we can get a hold of you and maybe details on how to purchase your book?
Yes, people can go to my website, WayneMadsenReport.com. That's WayneMadsen report.com altogether. And there's a link there. It should be available, I'm told, on Amazon shortly. But It is available on my website, and people can also Google it and find links. Apparently, many other websites are providing links to obtain the book.
Beautiful. Wayne Madsen, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, you're listening to the Robert Saviola Show on WBEN Radio 930. Hello, welcome back to the Robert Saviola Show. Another special guest we have on the line for you today is Robert himself. Robert, good morning.
Good to be here, Eric, and I'm glad that you're holding down the fort over there. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are extremely upset over the Supreme Court sellout of the United States yesterday. And, you know, we look at Godfather politics, we look at Steve Elliott, a lot of Dick Morris, so many people have so much to say. And I want to comment a little bit here. Steve Elliott says it's a dark day in American history and affirming the constitutionality of Obamacare as a tax. The Supreme Court has greatly damaged our republic and even put more power in the hands of the most radical president in American history. And without the illegal participation of Elena Kagan, we all know her, she's the one that was defending Obama as birthing, that he was born in the United States, and then he puts her on the Supreme Court, and of course she held up his Obamacare, who by all rights she should have recused herself. Obamacare would have fallen. Well, just as bad, our Chief Justice has turned his back on the Constitution once and for all. You know, he sided with the liberal justice in delivering a ruling that basically puts no limits on the federal government's power to tax and control the American people. He had already decided that he was going to side against Arizona and keeping Arizona safe and the rest of the country. Now he decided that the federal government is going to have limitless power on us. When we take a look at where this is going, understand that if this is not repealed, if Obama wins this November election and this is not repealed, and I'm not kidding, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't care how much you think this is a farce, it is true, because everything I've told you now for the past 5 years or 6 years on this show has come true. Everything. There's not been one thing that didn't come true that I said was going to come true. Here's what your next prediction will be. If Obamacare is left to stand, not only will the private insurance industry go, and millions of jobs be lost, I mean millions that will not be replaced, we're going to look at the government taking foods off the shelf, prohibiting foods from being sold to you that they feel will contribute to healthcare problems. They will tax your foods that you might want to eat, like cigarettes that you don't think you should eat. They're going to tell you what you can eat, what you can't eat, how you can eat it. They're going to do all of this stuff. Believe me when I tell you, you're looking at a United States that is in some sort of sci-fi film. But this clarifies one thing. The court's ruling does make one thing clear, and that there's now only one way out of the Marxist pit that Obama and the left has thrown us in. There's only one way to repeal Obamacare and restore our Constitution and protect our families and liberties, and that is we must defeat Obama in November. Now, the other thing, and this was by Godfather politics, the Supreme Court has shocked the nation by declaring Obamacare constitutional and ruling the individual mandate as a tax. This unprecedented and abhorrent attack on our freedoms must not be allowed to stand. And we cannot allow the Supreme Court as part of the federal government to limit the federal government's power over our lives. America was founded on the principle of limited, decentralized power in order for the individual's life or to live free from radical government edicts. As Ronald Reagan once said, as government expands, liberty contracts. And that is exactly what has taken place here. So if you thought Obamacare was bad, imagine the implications and consequences that will flow from the court's decision and precedent. If the government can force you to buy insurance, what else can they force you to buy? What else can they force you to do? The floodgates are now open and the government's power is near limitless. Now, and I'm telling you that the people that are happy that this went through, these are idiots. These are people that, they talk about driving a car. They couldn't drive a cat down the stairs with a broom. They don't have a clue. It's like the one class. Have you ever heard the story? It's about how this one girl was running for class president. And the boy got up there, and the boy said, I think this would work well for our students. I think this would help us. This would benefit us. And he gave all these points of what was good for them. The female student got up and said, I will give everybody ice cream if they vote for me. Well, when asked how she going to get ice cream and stuff, she wasn't sure, but she was going to do it. So it was a landslide that the girl won the election because she was going to give everybody ice cream. Okay? See, the boy knew that it was going to cost a lot to pay for the cow, and there was going to be a lot of cleanup from that cow, from going to the bathroom, having to eat, a lot of responsibility. The girl didn't care any of this. So the ice cream you're getting is being put on a comb from the cow's butt. So if you know what you're eating now, it's not ice cream, it's cow food. And that's what they're giving you. So why I'm telling you this is because all these people that voted for Obama voted for him because they thought they were going to get some ice cream.
Right.
And instead, government doesn't produce anything. And if you're looking at it now, they're taking away from everybody that has anything. Right now, our government, our country, is having a mass exodus of Americans patronizing themselves. They're throwing away their American passports, they're giving up their American citizenships, and they're going to other parts of the world that are friendlier. Now, eventually there'll be one world government and nobody will be able to escape because that's what their whole intentions are. But still, you can escape, at least for the time being, and that's what they're doing. The wealth in America is leaving because they know if they stay here, they're going to be robbed at gunpoint.
Good point.
And that's just how it is. So this means the whole country is going to fall, and fall so fast you won't even see it until it's over.
You know, Robert, I have to say here now, there is you have Obamacare, but in Massachusetts they have Romney Care, which I hear is a modified version of Obamacare. So I'm not sure if there's either one of these candidates. I say candidates because there's still a third guy, Ron Paul, in the running here. I don't think either one of these candidates is going to repeal this.
Well, that's stuff to be seen. If Romney gets elected and he does not repeal this, you're going to see you're going to see a whole country in chaos. They will. The country. I think the people in the country will no doubtly turn against the government. I think Romney, if elected, will repeal this because he has no choice because of the position he put himself in. But here's the thing. Though he shocked many by joining the left flank on the high court, Justice Roberts pretty much did what he was supposed to do. He finally put a boundary on how much freedom the federal government can gobble up from the states and individuals under the Commerce Clause. And that most specious scheme
yes,
is like federal thievery. You know, it's that's what they did. And then he told President Obama that it's kleptocrats, the Democrats, the kleptocrats, because they're stealing from us in Congress, that they have had their health care law. They can have their health care law, but they can't keep lying about it. The tax is a tax is a tax, and they are liars if they call it anything but a tax. And they just stuck it to the crippled American taxpayer in one of the biggest, broadest, most regressive tax. This is one of the biggest, broadest, most regressive tax hikes in history. Can't speak right now. And this is during a deep recession, I would say depression. So, it's okay to say, well, who's going to get in and all that stuff, but the point is much more dire. Healthcare isn't about healthcare, as you know, Eric. Healthcare is about control, and it's about control over American lives on all levels. And if this healthcare law does continue to go through, we all know that the quality of the healthcare in the United States will drop. Many Americans are going to die, which is what they want. They want to deplete the population. And what we also know is they are going to force you to buy things that will kill you in the name of saving your life. Just like now, people are pretty much forced to go to a regular medical doctor who is not allowed to do what the doctor wants to do. They can only prescribe the drugs that are approved. Even though they know the statin drugs will kill you, they're still making you take them. And if you do, there's a doctor called Dr. I forgot his name, Brazier or something like that, in Arizona. And he developed a cancer treatment that's
Dr. Brzezinski.
Brzezinski. And it works so well, but they don't care about that. They want to go against him because he's not doing what they want him to do. So only thing I want to say to you real quick as we're going to get ready to sign off is you're being duped. Go against what's happening right now. I myself am a Ron Paul supporter. But if it comes down to there's only two to choose, Obama cannot be the choice.
Well, Robert, I will not stand in line for a potato or a Band-Aid. They're going to have to bypass me, and I don't think I'm speaking alone here. Robert, thanks for calling in, and thanks for letting me host your show here. Robert Saviola Show, Radio 930, WBEN. Bye-bye.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.